Hello and welcome to part 10 of the tutorial on how to create an Asteroids type game using GameMaker. In this tutorial we're going to show you how to create an enemy object as shown below that comes off of the screen, comes out of the side of the screen at a preset time and fires bullets at you. You see the ship moves on its own. Randomly every so often it changes direction. And then randomly it fires a bullet, and then after a preset amount of time then it will fade away, or it not fade away, but it'll go when it goes off the screen. It will not return. Alright, so to start off we need a sprite for the ship and a sprite for the bullet. So I'm going to go ahead and go up here to sprites, right click, create, and we're going to import, and the sprite we're going to import for the ship is this one right here, enemy 1, little UFO looking thing. So open that up and we're going to go middle center, and just like we did with the asteroids themselves, we're going to change this collision mask to be precise slow, or precise here, and I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. This little tolerance slider right here, if I start clicking this up, you see it'll start shrinking that that mask up. Let me just manually grab it here. If I see, I want to make it a little bit tighter here so that bullets that just skim him don't destroy it. That looks good. Okay, so we'll just leave it like that, and again uncheck this, make sure it's in middle center so everything looks good, and I'm going to give it the name SPR enemy. Whoops, I forgot the R there. Okay. Back up. Okay, and then we're going to create a sprite for the their bullet. All I'm going to do is just duplicate my bullet. So just right click, duplicate, and then I'm going to open that up, double click on SPR, the new one there, and I'm just going to change the name to enemy bullet. It's kind of a long name, but it's very descriptive. I'm going to edit the sprite, and I'm going to give it a different color than than our bullet. So I'm just, again, just like before, I'm going to go Control A to select the whole thing, hit the delete key to remove the image there, and I'm going to make it kind of a purpley color. So I'm going to pick this dark purple here, and just like before, I'm going to pick a round brush, set its size to 5, make it smooth here. There you go, there's the middle, and then I'm going to get a pink color for the middle. I might want to go something lighter, maybe that. Pick that color, bring down the size to 3. There, and then no, that doesn't look very good, so let's Control Z. Let me do something a brighter pink here. So I'll pick this color and do the same thing. Yeah, that looks better. There we go. That looks a little bit better there. Alright, so exit out of this. You see our sprite is already centered, so we're good to go with this guy. Alright, so we got our two sprites. Now what we're going to do is going to program our ship object to move around. So first of all, I need a ship object. So just right click, create object enemy, set the sprite to that guy there. Alright, so we're going to program him. What we want this guy to do is when he's created, we want him to come in from the outside of the screen. We don't care what's top, bottom, left, or right. So we have to, when he's created, get him to kind of the opposite of what we did with the asteroids, where the asteroids were generated in a random location within the room. There's going to be a random location outside of the room, and it's a little bit trickier. So we're going to start off with a create event. And let me shrink this down a little bit here so we can get some room to write. Probably need a little more room here on the side here, and zoom in here. and move this down. Let me expand this so we can get a little more space. Again, I'm pressing this button to collapse the side screens there. So under descriptions, I'm going to go set. Oh no, where it's going to go. Go to edge of room. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we want to pick a random position somewhere beyond the scope of the room. So unlike on the Asteroids, the code is gonna be slightly different. And now I'm gonna do things kind of out of order here so I can explain things as they're going here. X equals random range this time, and what I want to do is go for X. I want to go -20, and then room width plus 20. And what this does is it gives me, it's going to give me a random position horizontally, anywhere from 20 pixels off the left side of the room, that's where -20 comes from, to anywhere 20 pixels off the right side of the room, that's the room width plus 20. Do the same for Y. Equals random range. I probably should have just copied that. Again, almost the same exact code, except with the exception this is now room height plus 20. Okay. Now the problem is with this coding, I could end up with a point that is inside of the room. So I've got to tell this that keep doing this until I find a spot that is outside of the room. And we did this kind of with the asteroid. We said keep finding a random X and Y position until you find one that is 200 pixels away from your ship. So we're going to do the same kind of thing, same kind of code. It's going to be a do loop, do, and then we go down here at the bottom below here. And then we want it to do it until, I got to take off this semicolon here, until, now several things are going to be true. And it's going to be a little bit confusing. I'm going to write the entire code here so you can see what it is, and then I'll explain what I mean. So it's X is less than 0 or X is greater than room width, and in fact I'm going to put that on the next line here, and Y is less than 0 or, oops, sorry, I'm getting my parentheses in the wrong place here, or Y is greater than room height. Oops, misspelled height. So then now I got to make sure all my parentheses are correct. In fact, let me put that all on one line so it's a little bit easier to explain here. So what we're going to do is we're trying to find out several things. We want to find out, we want our X position to be either off the left side of the screen, which would mean X is less than 0, or off the right side of the screen, which would mean X is greater than room width. So we want this to be true, either this or this to be true, and we want Y to be less than 0, which would mean to be above the room, or Y greater than room height, which would be below the room. So it's each of these, this condition has to be met, and this condition has to be met for for this to go on. So it'll keep finding a random x and y until this condition is met. Okay, and once that happens, we are going to set our guy's direction. We're going to set this direction of direction equals point direction x comma y comma room width divided by 2 room height divided by 2. Now what this is going to do is find the direction that will take you from wherever the UFO ended up, the XY position of the UFO, because that's the object we're programming, to the center of the room. Room width divided by 2, room height divided by 2 gives you the center of the room. So that when the game starts, this ship will move towards the center of the room. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to set, to give a little bit of randomness to our enemy ship here, we want to set a couple of alarms that will make it do things at different times here. So we want to set our first alarm, and the way you can have up to 12 alarms in a particular object, and this is how you set an alarm. Our first alarm is going to be alarm 0, and it's going to equal room speed times and we're gonna make it random here. Random range anywhere between let's say 2 and 4 seconds. So while the game is running, while the guy comes in the room, we're gonna have this code is gonna be used to make him change direction every 2 to 4 seconds. And I can give myself a note. Change direction. That'll give me a clue that that's okay. Alarm 0 is for changing direction. Now I'm going to copy this a couple times. And I'm just going to go now this next alarm. So I'm going to have alarm 1 and alarm 2. This alarm is going to be the same kind of thing. This is going to be him, how often he fires. And I'm going to just change this a little bit. I'm going to make it every 3 to 5 seconds he's going to fire. And then fire a bullet. Okay, every 3 to 5 seconds he'll fire a bullet. And then the last one, this is how long he can be in the screen. Basically, you set a time here that after a certain amount of time, if he goes off the screen, he doesn't come back. So I'm going to make this one a little bit more concrete here. I'm just going to say 15 seconds. So the longest he'll be in the room, or not the longest, but he will be attacking for 15 seconds. And if he goes beyond that, then when the goes off the screen, he will no longer come back. I'm just going to call this attack time. Okay, so again, you can put notes over here to help you out here. Okay, we're going to now make it so that before we set these alarms, before you can really see anything, we're going to get it so that he wraps screen here. And we're going to do it the same way we did with the asteroids and the ship. So I'm going to use the same variable that I used for those other two, called sprite size. This will tell me how far outside the room to go. Sprite size equals max sprite width sprite height. And again, I'm not putting absolute on this one here because we don't flip his sprite around ever, so we don't need to do that here. Okay, then I'm going to go to the, I could go either to the asteroid or to the ship. It doesn't matter because the function's still the same. So I'm going to go to the ship right here, and I'm going to go to the step event and go to the section where it wraps screen, and I'm going to just copy that code again just like I did before. Make sure you get all 4 sections there. Copy, and then go back to the enemy, and again in the step event there, add event, step, and I'm just going to paste this code here. Oh, hold on, let me wrap screen, and then I'm going to paste. Okay, so now that code, now it'll wrap screen. Now I would like to demonstrate all this to you right now, but it's unfortunately this object really doesn't work well until everything's done. So once I get it all done, then we'll get it going. All right, so now we want it to do its alarm things here. So let me go down here, open up, go back to enemy here. Again, we see we've got alarm 0, makes it change direction here. Let me scoot this in a little bit and close that. You see alarm 0 is used to set the have it change direction. So that is what we're going to do over here. We're going to get it to, when that alarm goes off, we're going to make it do that. So add event alarm 0. Okay. You know, I forgot to add a variable in the create event here. Let's go back to the create event. We have to tell the computer basically whether our enemy is in attack mode or just flying around. So I'm just going to quickly set up a variable here at the end of this, and I'm just going to call it attack equals true. Okay. And what that tells me is that while attack is true, he will change directions, he will fire bullets, and he will wrap screen. So we're going to use that part of that. So let's go back to the alarm now. And so the first question is if he is in attack mode, he will change directions when this alarm goes off. So let me type this in. Change direction. Okay. And so we'll tell it, we'll ask the question, if attack equals true, spell true correctly, then we're going to change the direction of our, and what I want to do is I just want to randomly change in 45 degrees, make a 45-degree turn. I don't want it to, just completely change direction. I don't want to do like a random 360. So I'm going to say it's either going to go 45 degrees to the left or 45 degrees to the right. And then I'm going to reset the alarm. Same way that I set it in the first place. Alarm 0 equals room speed times random range 2, 4, like that. Okay. And then I can close out this group. So now if when the game plays, every 2 to 4 seconds he will just change direction. He'll make a 45-degree turn. Okay, now then alarm, if we go to the create event, remember alarm 1 here was to have him fire the bullets. So I'm going to go over here and let me move this over. I'm going to add an event, alarm 1. Zoom in closer here again. And this is going to be fairly simple. Let me put the description in here. Fire bullet. And all we're going to do is just create a bullet. The bullet, once we program it, will will do what it needs to do. Create layer, and then we're going to have it created right where the enemy ship is at XY on the instances layer object enemy bullet. Now you see it doesn't change red here because we have not actually created that object yet. We will in a minute, and when we come back to that code, it'll come back. So if we tried to run the game right now, it would give us an error because it doesn't know what enemy bullet is. And then we just reset the alarm. Alarm 1 equals random. Oops, room speed. Oops. Speed times random range, and I think we did 3 and 5, I believe. So if not, it'll still work. Okay. So now this makes him fire the bullet every 3 to 5 seconds. Alright, so the last alarm we're going to do here is alarm 2 here. This is the one that controls his attack, whether he's in attack mode or not. So we're going to add an alarm 2 this time. Zoom back in and just call it end attack mode. Okay. And the only code that's going to be here is just simply turning off attack mode. Attack equals false. Now he's no longer in attack mode, which really doesn't mean anything unless we tell it to do something. So the way we're going to handle that is we're going to add another event here, an outside room event. So you go add event, other outside room, right there. And it's just going to say, well, let's just call it destroy after attack. And what it'll say is, if attack equals false, then instance destroy. Get this formatted right. So what this does is if he goes outside of the room and he is no longer in attack mode, the ship he will be destroyed. Okay? Okay, now if he gets hit by the bullet by bad guys or your guys' bullet, you want him to blow up just like your ship blows up when it gets hit by an asteroid. So we're going to take that code from the ship and put it in the destroy event of this ship. Okay, so we'll go ahead and add an event, go to the destroy event, and then I'm going to go to the ship destroy event, and I'm just going to take this code, even the description up top there, and take all of this, just copy it, go to the enemy ship, and just paste it, highlight all of this and paste it right in there. Now I'm going to make a quick change here because I don't want it to be as spectacular as mine's here, so I'm going to cut this down to maybe like 100 blast objects, and instead of the ship I'm going to change this to enemy and enemy. Okay. Alright, so now that creates it at that point. And then we have to get it to now destroy. We have to get the ship to be destroyed. So we can go to add event, and again collision with bullet, object bullet. This is your bullet hitting him. You want to make sure you don't pick the bullet, the enemy bullet. You want to pick your bullet there. All right, so all you're going to have happen here is we're just going to have him destroy the itself and destroy the bullet that created it. I'll just say destroy enemy ship. Okay, and it's just very simple code, just like what we've done before. We want it to, the bullet that strikes him, we want to destroy that bullet. So I'm going to go with other instance destroy. Destroy, I got to spell destroy correctly. And then I'm just going to copy this line here. Then after the bullet is destroyed, you want to destroy, we want to have this ship destroy itself. Okay, all right, now the last thing we need to do, hopefully we can do it quickly here, is we just need to create an enemy bullet, and we will have that when the enemy bullet's created, it will just automatically, when it's created, will head towards the ship object. So let me check something. What did I name it? Object enemy bullet. Okay, notice how it's purple here. Once we create the object, that will change colors to red. So we're going to create the object. Again, we're going to call it enemy bullet, and we're going to give it the sprite. Okay, so if I go back to that code now, go to the enemy, you'll see, if I click in here, see now it turned red. It recognizes that. So on the enemy bullet, we're just going to simply put this code. We're going to actually put two pieces of code here. One to when it goes out of the room, it will destroy itself, and the other to set its initial direction. So we're going to go add event, create, zoom in here, set direction and speed. Let me zoom in again. Okay, first we have to make sure that if there is a ship, to move towards a ship. So we have to ask that if instance exists object ship, then direction equals point direction x comma y comma object ship dot x. Let me widen this here so we can hopefully see more of this here. Object ship dot y. Keep forgetting to do this part. Okay, so we're setting our direction to point towards our ship. Okay. Now the problem is, what happens if your ship is not there? The ship is not there. We want it to just go in the direction that the enemy is going. So otherwise, or else, direction equals object enemy dot direction. So if there is no ship, if your ship has been destroyed after this guy and this guy fires his bullet, it will just fire in the direction that he's traveling. And then we just need to give the bullet some speed. Regardless, it'll have the same speed regardless whether your ship is there or not. So I'm just going to give it a speed of 4. Okay. Alright, now we have to make a method to spawn the enemy, and what we're going to do we're going to put this in the controller. So in the object controller here, double click that guy, and we are going to, in the create event, we are going to set another alarm here. Let's put a little marker here. Let me zoom in here. Enemy spawner timer. Okay, and it's just simply going to set an alarm. Alarm 0 equals random range. Let's give it how about 10 to 15 seconds. 10 to 15 seconds. Oh, I forgot to put room speed times random range. Let me widen this so you can see the entire code there. Okay. Don't know why my volume controller is showing up here. Okay, now I'm going to need this code here, so I'm going to copy it. And what I want to do is I'm going to create another event here. Let me open this up a little bit. Another event, an alarm 0 event, that's going to actually be the thing that creates the ship. Alarm 0 and spawn enemy ship. And so the code is going to be very simple. I'm going to go ahead and paste on the second line here that alarm. I could have put it at the first line, but it really doesn't matter. So we're going to instance create layer, and I'm going to make sure on this, when it's first created, I'm going to make sure that it is created off the screen here. So I'm going to go make negative 20, that puts it up in the upper left corner of the screen. And the reason I want to do that is just so that it doesn't flash into the screen before it finds its final home. Object enemy. Okay, so there we go. Creates the object enemy, and then it resets the alarm. Okay, I think that is it. Let's test it and make sure it's working. The controller object should already be in the room. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh, there's something. Oh, you know, I don't think we gave our ship a speed here. Alright, so our ship, we got to give him some speed when he's created. Yep, that was it. We didn't create a speed for the ship. So, alright, so open up the enemy ship. Go to the create event. Okay, and then we could put the speed in really anywhere. I'll just put it right after direction. I always kind of like to put those two together, direction, speed. Speed equals, let's go with 3. Okay, now let's try it again. Okay, let's count off again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, I'm sorry, there. I was counting off and he was already there. Alright, he's going a little bit fast here, so I'm going to slow him down. Okay, so anyway, I know that was a long video, and thank you for your patience. Thanks for hanging in there, and in the next one we will fine-tune some of that.